They're too harsh looking. They don't evoke the feeling that people want to be around and be in them. They don't attract people to them as an architecture and as buildings themselves. There was a desire for some kind of performing arts center that can be utilized by both the campus and by the community. There's been a lot of talk about student housing here, and so we'll also discuss that a little bit more. And also everything that we do today, I mean literally everything, has to be energy efficient and has to deal with sustainability. So all the concepts we talked about, everything we discussed is going to have those components as part of it. And then public-private partnerships is going to be a large component of a lot of the new projects that are being discussed for this campus, and for all campuses throughout the district as well, but it's going to be a very large component for this campus in particular. Now, our master plan process. The process that we have for the master plan actually has these three major phases. The first phase was the assessment phase. Some of you probably saw our team that was out here probably now 6, 7, 8 months ago. We had our mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, civil engineers, landscape architects, our architectural team. We walked every building, walked all the spaces, did a complete physical assessment of the campus. And there's a document that the president has in his office, I believe it may be in the library now, a series of binders that has that physical assessment of the condition of all the buildings of the campus, and it's just the physical condition of the buildings and the infrastructure of the campus as a whole. We then took that information and analyzed that along with the educational data that we were receiving from Moss companies. And from that we went to the next step, which is say, okay, based on the physical assessment of the buildings, based on the information we have from Moss companies, what does that tell us about the campus? What does that tell us about the campus, the condition of the campus, and the things that need to be done on this campus as part of that. And then from there, we go to this last phase, which is developing a facilities master plan from all of that information. And from that came a couple of primary goals for Merritt College. Number one is a definition of the entrance or entrances, that's plural, to the campus, and give the campus a sense of identity, a better sense of identity. Obviously, it's sitting up on top of the hill, but people can swing by here pretty rapidly and miss it coming up Campus Drive unless they know where they're going. So we want to get a better sense of identity for the campus and really define the points of entry to the campus. And since this is also a vehicular campus, this is not a pedestrian campus. You're not going to have people walking to school here in any large numbers. Either you come by bus or by car as a general rule to come here. So those vehicular entrances are very important. Wayfinding around the campus. I know there's a signage program that's getting underway here, but wayfinding is still a major concern, a major issue in terms of people not knowing where to go, where they're supposed to go to, where they can find. Once you get on the campus, it's kind of like, okay, now what?
Now, I want to address that the district has contracted with Ganex Signs that is fabricating these signs right now. And the next 3 months, they're going to do installations, and the issue of wayfinding and signage would be addressed.
Great. The next big item was to define a core to the campus. As I said, we need to try to define a center to the campus, as a core, it's like every campus you see. I don't care whether it's a community college or it's a major university, there always is some core or multiple cores, multiple centers to those campuses that is well defined. We want to take advantage of the views in this campus. Obviously, that's probably one of the strongest things the campus has going for it, is the surrounding environment. The views both towards the hillside and the views out towards the bay, all of which are very strong, yes ma'am.
Is it okay to ask a question?
Oh, certainly.
Could you talk about number 4? What does that look like?
Well, I will talk about that when we get to the plans a little bit later on.
Okay.
So I'll show you what some of that looks like. So hold that thought until we get there. Create an environment that supports students that are on campus, and that's sort of has to do with the total environment of the campus, the landscaping, as well as the buildings and how they're structured to create a positive environment of the campus. And as I said before, sustainability for all the new developments, as well as the modernization work that will be done on the campuses, is going to always be there. This year's existing buildings on the campus. The yellow, just all the existing facilities that you currently have right now, and how they're configured. And if you look at how they're configured, that's what's important here. there doesn't seem to be a lot of rhyme or reason for the location of the building, particularly when you look at it abstractly like this, which is how we have to kind of look at things. And then you understand why when someone actually is on the ground walking this campus, why they kind of don't know where they are or where they're going. Your entry point is here. Your main entrance actually is right here. Even come to this main entrance, you then have to make a decision. I think your natural tendency is to go this way because you've got this nice big bus shelter over here, which kind of tells you there's something important happening this way. But if you get over here, then you really don't know where you're going to go to from here. So that's important, that wayfinding and that understanding how you get here and what you do when you get here becomes very important on the campus. And if you come to the big parking lot, you have the same situation again in the major lot over here. So those are things that we want to address as we move on. This is the context of the plan. Obviously, you're the big dog out here in the middle. You've got all this open space. You've got the expensive homes all around you. It's a wonderful site. It's just difficult to get here. I think that's the number one problem that probably this site has is access. And that's something I know the President's looking at and trying to figure out how do you get more people here to come to this campus and enjoy the positive things that are here. The zoning use plan, obviously the whole campus is institutional, and you also have all of this land, the 30-some acres that we talked about, that's across the street, which currently now is parking, but that is a major portion of this campus as well as all of this acreage you have for the main campus itself, and everything else around you is either residential or parkland. Now, the first phase that I talked about before, when we did this analysis, the fiscal analysis of the project, the results of that are what you see here. What this shows you is that going from the deep purple to the blues are excellent condition, and moving down to the red are less than excellent condition, let's put it that way. And the one building and the gray is a building that was not assessed because it was currently under modernization when we did the assessment process, which is this building. So this building was being modernized, and we did not assess this building at the time. But as you look on here, you'll notice there is a lot of blue on your campus. And you've got a couple of buildings that are moving into the red zone here that need some help. And the yellow is essentially buildings that are pretty much okay. They're sort of middle of the road sort of buildings. And this is actually just from a physical assessment standpoint only. Okay, that's what this really is, and layered in some of the educational components as well. So obviously, there's some work needs to be done on the campus overall in all these buildings. Now, as we get to look at how we address some of the issues on the campus, this is the open space plan. One of the things you'll see here, you probably can't determine all these different shades of green that are on here because the color on the screen. But one of the things we talk about here, this is the building we're in right here, Student Services Building, the R building, which is another thing, just as a side, that one of the things we talk about on all the campuses actually is the naming of the buildings. Yeah. One of the things that affects people's perception of having a collegiate atmosphere is having buildings have names. When you have an A building, a B building, a C building, I don't know, that just doesn't seem to be that it's a college environment, really. And so that's something that we're talking about is that and this is not only here, but all the other campuses do the same thing. It's very expedient when you're designing, when as architects we draw it up to simply call it building A, building B, building C. But when you get into the actual use and functions of the buildings, a building, whether it's called, Newton Hall, or whatever the name of the buildings may be, it makes it gives a building an identity, and it also makes it easier in terms of wayfinding, because now the building has a name that people can remember. You're going to, the Adams building, you're going to the Newton building, you're going wherever that may be, as opposed to building B, building A, building C, and it's just a better way to actually name the buildings as you go through. So, but as we know, this is building R.
So if you know somebody with $1 million.
That's also another funding source, exactly. This is building R where we are. And one of the things we want to look at is the development of some new corridors in the campus. The next one will show a little better. But in the landscape, this is sort of your center of your campus. Currently, it's